The Real host and Dancing with the Stars contestant Jeannie Mai is opening up about her decision to take a more submissive role in her upcoming marriage to Jeezy. They're, of course, engaged. In today's episode of The Real, she explained that the word submit has a negative connotation, but here's what it means to her.
I make the decisions in my life. When I come home, I like the idea that my man leads us. That doesn't mean that in this case, Jay makes all the decisions for us. That doesn't mean that when he says, how are we spending our money or where are we moving, that I just say, yes, sir, or yes, your honor. Like, it's not that. It's a, you know what? I think that we would do best here. I want to do this. And he takes the decision, he formulates it with our overall vision, and he leads us. And I like to submit to that. I don't want to lead in our household and in our marriage. I want him to lead, and I have all the essence of what I bring as a wife to make that decision, but that I love that my husband will be the man that leads. I like that structure in a marriage, and I look forward to that because, girls, it's tiring being the boss of me.
Being the boss lady everywhere. I kind of get that. But, there is some balance in the relationship because back in April, Jeannie told ET that quarantine was good for their relationship. She said, quote, we actually lean in more to each other and we're very conscientious on checking in with each other and having really in-depth conversations with the things we're unhappy about with the state of affairs and what we can be doing more in one another's lives. But Alicia, I cannot wait to get your take on this. Well, does a relationship work best when there's a leader? What do you think?
I had to think long and hard about this question. I honestly did. I think identifying someone as the leader in a relationship is a mistake. It's
Mhm.
unrealistic to think that one person can lead in every area, right? Because you come into a relationship where you both have individual strengths that should be respected and honored. But I will say this, as a woman, I've always looked for a sense of security from my man. And that's what I attach submission to is security. I'm someone who wants to submit to my husband as well, but to me, that doesn't mean he's the boss, as Jeannie said. It means that I'm able to confidently follow his lead. There's something
Absolutely.
so attractive about being able to trust your partner's judgment so much so that you could feel safe with them. If somebody comes in the house, a burglar or something, I want to trust that you know what to do and you can handle this family.
Yes,
And you're not going
tell 'em.
to make me go, kick
You
the man
got
out the
this,
door,
right?
a woman.
Like,
Right. I
yeah.
want to feel safe with you. That's what I attach submission to. And, everybody's different, but as a heterosexual
Hmm.
woman, what I found in my relationships is that what I truly desire from a partner is different from what they desire from me. So
Wow.
while my partner, my man might want to be respected more than anything else, I want to be adored and loved by him more than anything else. And that's not saying I don't want respect, but from my experience, I don't want to generalize. I've I've noticed that men in relationships want to be respected more than anything. And if a man doesn't feel like a man in his own home, things start to crumble. And if a woman doesn't feel like she's admired or loved by her man, she starts to doubt the relationship. And that's just from my experience. I don't want to generalize everything because I know people are different,
Well,
but
that's what
it is
Jeannie was explaining, right? That's just how she
right,
feels, and the particular definition for her of being
right.
submissive. So
I
I
want to
didn't
know
mean to
your
cut you off.
take though, because yeah, I'm coming from a straight woman's perspective, and I grew
Yeah.
up in the South. My mom and my dad, that's kind of their role. My dad plays the head of the house and my mom is the wife. They do a great job at it. But I want to know your perspective.
But see, that's why I don't think it's about who's the leader, because you're right. I think it's not fair to just single out someone as the leader of the house because what you just described is actually balanced roles. They might be
Mhm.
different and they might be different needs based on, the partner, but it's the two people coming together and balancing it out and being a partnership. You know what I mean? Because on the one hand, when it comes to someone being more dominant or making more decisions, I think that comes down to personality traits. If someone
Yes.
is more organized, maybe has better taste, the mover and the shaker, of course they're going to be more inclined to make those decisions, plan the trip, plan what you're doing on the
Right.
trip, plan what you're going to eat for dinner, what you're going to watch for TV. And that depends on the other person if they don't have that personality trait. You know, if they want to lean on that person for that, then I get it. But I feel like there will come a time where that will get tiring for the person making all those decisions. And that's where it comes back to balance and just making up for it in
Right.
other ways in the relationship.
And what are your strengths? What are you good at? And
Yeah,
what do you
play to
raise
them.
your hand first and say, I can handle that? I think of Michelle and Barack Obama's relationship. When they
Yeah.
first, when he was first deciding to run for president, she was the breadwinner in the house, but he said, okay, this is something that he wants to do. And she took a step back from her role and allowed him to lead at that point in time. So it's just
Mhm.
knowing your partner and not, because it's wrong to submit to someone who does not respect you or your voice, because at
Absolutely.
that point you're submitting to the wrong person. But if you're giving yourself, to someone who sees you, respects your insight. We know Barack Obama does that clearly for Michelle Obama.
Mhm.
I think they're a great example when it comes to that. So it's different for
Candace,
everybody.
Full House star Candace Cameron Bure, she told us something about that too. She actually opened up about it in 2014 in her book, writing that I am not a passive person, but I chose to fall into a more submissive role in our relationship because I wanted to do everything in my power to make my marriage and family work. She and her husband have been married for 17 years, so something's working. But what I take away from Jeannie Mai though, and what you just said too, is that I also take someone who's really confident in themselves, who might even have a
Hmm.
dominant personality outside of the house to be able to take more submissive role because you also don't want to be taken advantage of. You know what I mean? And when you feel like that
Exactly.
is happening, you need to be empowered and feel empowered to speak up and say something about it so it balances back out a little bit. And it's different for each relationship, I think is the takeaway here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think people are just so afraid of that word submissive, submissive. And
Yeah.
I think that we kind of need to get past that and just say what works for some people works for them and what doesn't work for others doesn't work for them. But I don't think that means you can't be an independent woman or partner. I don't even attach that with that. I just want to feel like I can trust my man to lead us.
Mm-hmm. And that's just one thing. That's one area of the relationship.